Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this week's video, I'm going to be showing you how to mix your beats so that they're ready to upload to your beat store or YouTube, and so that they're hitting nice and hard in a way that makes artists actually want to hop on your beats.
So one thing that always bothered me as a new producer was that nobody really told you what levels to set your sounds at, what levels to set your drums at, what levels to set your melodies at. And it was something that really bothered me because a lot of people were just like, oh, put a fruity soft flipper on the master and just make your drum sound good, make things sound good. And as a beginner, it's like, what sounds good? A lot of people that say that have been making beats for years. And as a beginner, you pull up any one shot and you make a chord and you're like, this sounds good. You can't apply that same does it sound good to a beginner as you can to somebody that's been making beats and has been mixing and mastering for years, and it just doesn't work. It's just a different experience. You have a different set of ears than somebody that has been doing it for years and years and years. You can't expect to know what sounds good as someone who's just starting, as someone who's never mixed or mastered before. So that was one thing that really bothered me. So I'm going to start off by telling you the levels that you need to set your drums at. Now, this isn't end all be all. This isn't what you should just always do. Don't take my word as like this is the perfect mix. This is just a general idea of where you should set your drums, where you should set your instruments to get you started in the mixing process. All right, so first things first, if you hold control, click on the very first channel and then scroll all the way over. You can highlight everything. We're just gonna take everything all the way down. So now when we hit play, we don't hear anything. We're gonna start with our kick and we're gonna put that at negative 15 dB. So let's find our kick. We're right here. We're gonna go ahead and just bring that up until it's hitting right at negative 15 dB. Now the thing with my kick is it's routed to this drum bus, so I just gotta check the levels. I do have Cymatics Diablo Light on here that's kind of clipping, giving the beat a little bit more punch. So just got to level match that out there. Bring it down just a little bit more. Cool. So we have our kick hitting at negative 15 dB now. So the next loudest thing in the mix could either be your 808 or your snare, depending on the beat. I'm going to go ahead and put the snare on. I used a rim shot, so we're going to go ahead and put the rim shot at negative 15 as well. Once again, level match in the drum bus. Now that's hitting just below 15. I kind of like where that's at with the kick. So the next thing that we're going to add is the 808. The 808 we're going to put just a little bit underneath of the snare and the kick. In general, I put my 808 around negative 18. There we go. That's looking good. That sounds pretty good to me. Now let's go ahead and add the hi-hat, and we are going to put the hi-hat at negative 27 dB. This one I'm probably going to turn down a little bit, and then we'll keep that main one up at negative 27. It's a little loud. It's hitting 24, so bring it back down a little bit. So I'm going to treat this reversed hi-hat as a perk. The perks you basically want to keep below the hi-hats. So wherever you level your hi-hats at, if it's at negative 27 dB, you want the perks to be underneath of that. Like I said, not always. You might want some a little louder, but I'm going to treat all these other drum sounds that I have in here as perks. Rides, open hats, all that stuff. You just want that to sit underneath of the hi-hat. I'm going to turn my melody bus back on. We have a few elements here, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those on, and then I'm going to see how they sound together, and then I'm going to make sure that the entire melody bus isn't really going over negative 24 dB, or it's just hovering around that mark. So let's go ahead and see. That's hitting a little under negative 24. Let's bring in the next most important sound, which is this vocal loop right here. All right, cool. That sounds pretty good. There were a couple other things that I forgot to add. This swell, this swoosh, and this long crash. I'm going to leave some of these other things muted because they're in other parts of the song, and I just want to kind of focus on the main loud part of the song right now. I should have mentioned this before, but if you are watching this video and you are not wearing headphones, you are not going to get the best possible experience. So if you're serious about taking your mix up a level, make sure you put some headphones in. That way you'll be able to hear the little subtle tweaks that we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and move on to our master channel. I start off with a beat timer. That has nothing to do with mixing and mastering. That just helps me get into a flow state. Shout out to Curtis King. Parametric EQ2. I always start with this. I have a default preset of 20 hertz by 18 kilohertz cut. Why? Why do I do that? Because anything below 20 hertz, you don't really hear. Same with up here, a nice high cut as well. These are frequencies that don't really belong in a mix. You can't hear them anyway, so you may as well cut them out of the mix. So I always start off with that. Next thing that we want to do is we're going to add another parametric EQ2. All right, so on this next EQ here, basically what I have is I have a low shelf, and I just kind of mess around, pulling it back and forth. Just kind of tames that low end a little bit. And then, yeah, I boost the high end. I just push this up a tiny bit, but there is another plugin that I really like, and it's called Fresh Air. Now, if you want this plugin, you can just go to slatedigital.com/fresh-air, and you can get it for free right here. All right, so I like to add a little bit of mid. You can always dial it back a little bit too if it sounds like too much. Cool. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add this compressor. It is called an M compressor. You can go to meldoproduction.com. You can go to effects and you can click on free effects. Boom. It'll take you to this list. You can download whatever you want from here. For this tutorial, you really only need to get the M compressor. Shout out to Sikky Beats for showing me this, by the way. Sikky Beats was the one that taught me this. We are going to set the attack time to 30 milliseconds. We're going to set the release time to 100 milliseconds. And then we're going to set the ratio 2:1. And we're going to put the knee mode on linear. What we're going to do is we're going to take this threshold knob and we're going to turn this down until we start to hear that compressor working. There you go. Right over here, you can start to see where it's working. One really cool thing they showed is that you can sidechain the compression here. So enable the sidechain input, click on this little arrow here, and then you can listen to what the compressor is focusing on. Let's go ahead and see if we can get it to focus right on the kick there. The 808. You can take a look at over here and see how much is being compressed too. You don't want to over compress it too much, but I feel like that sounds good right there. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next plugin. And this is another free plugin. This is called Free Clip by Ven Audio. We're going to set it to cubic for this video, and we're going to listen. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to drive the signal now with everything that we've added into that soft clipper. Basically what I like to do is I like to drive it into the soft clipper here for a little bit of distortion and then kind of back down a little bit. Cool, so that sounds good right there. Next we're going to move over to the output knob and we're just going to bring that level back down And then we're just gonna make sure that it's matching up with the level over here on the master. Might take that gain down a little bit because it does sound a little distorted. And this is like the crazy power of compressors and free clippers is you can listen to what it sounds like. This is with the free clip off. And we're hitting just under 9. Then I turn that free clip on and we're hitting at -12. So the dB level is actually lower, but it sounds louder. Once I learned this, I was like, dang, this is wild. This is nuts. So yeah, mess around with the M compressor and the free clipper to get a sound like that. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the fruity limiter and we're going to boost that signal up to about 0. We're going to take the ceiling down. In Sikky's video, he took it down to 1.3. I'm going to do the same for now. He doesn't really explain why he took it down to 1.3. So basically, I add 2 limiters at the end. This first one, we're going to do what he did. Take it down to 1.3, turn the gain up so that we're just tickling the ceiling that we just turned down, this green line here. And now we're going to add one more fruity limiter on, and this is just going to drive it even farther up to the 0 dB level. So all that we're going to do, we're going to leave everything the way it is, and we're just going to turn the gain up so that it's tickling 0 dB.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching another video. I hope this video helped if you were looking to get your mixes a little cleaner, if you were looking on how to mix your beats so that you can upload them to BeatStars or to whatever beat store you're using. This is just the technique that I've been using lately. Shout out to Sikky Beats for showing me this. I'm going to post those numbers below in the description to what I set everything to. And like I said, just use that as a guideline. Use that as a starting point. Don't consider these numbers to be the end all be all. Your mix is your mix. However you want to mix it is the way that you can mix it. Don't stress too much about it, but just use this as a starting point. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, that way you don't miss anything else. If I learn something new, the first thing that I want to do is share it with you guys so that if anybody out there needs a helping hand, needs something to go off of, I just want to make this information as known as possible so that everyone else can get their mixes sounding clean. And it was just something that I felt like nobody was really doing for me, so hopefully this helps you guys out. But yeah, that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you drop a like, leave a comment. Let me know if this information helped you out. Let me know if you'd like me to do a tutorial on something else that you see me do in my other videos that I don't really explain very well, or I've never explained before and I just breeze through it. I would love to help you guys out. I would love to help take your beats to the next level. If I can provide any information, let me know and I'd be glad to help. Alright guys, I hope you have a great weekend and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.